Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I want to do a little bit of a different video today. I hope you'll indulge me in this. I have a couple of thoughts that I just am working through, and as you've guessed from the title of this video, I feel like I'm starting my life over in my 30s, and I just want to talk about that a little bit. There are a lot of new faces here that maybe don't know what I mean by some of the changes that I've gone through recently, and I just kind of wanted to talk about that and have a very sort of relaxed, chatty vlog with you all. So for those that don't know me, hi, my name is Cait. I am a part-time master's student in literature and arts at the University of Oxford. But I work full-time in legal and compliance, and I also run a business, Accepted Society, and that's a lot. There is a lot on my plate. There is a lot that I am doing, and it can seem to a lot of people that I have my life entirely figured out and all together, and I kind of just wanted to talk about that because I wanted to highlight the fact that it has taken me a really long time to get here and to get to a place where I finally feel like I'm actually starting my life over again at 30. So my life has gone through a number of changes recently, taking over Accepted Society and all the stress of running a business, the behind the scenes work that makes the machine run, which no one really sees or acknowledges, preparing for PhD proposals, and entering that very familiar yet very uncomfortable space of imposter syndrome, where I can't imagine I would ever convince a supervisor to work with me or that my research project is actually any good. And also navigating a much more senior role in my day job, which requires me to be accountable to some of the most senior leadership within the company. Topped off with studying for my master's at an elite institution like Oxford and wanting to do really, really well so I actually can continue studying and pursuing a PhD. And balancing all of this with trying to be healthy, get out for walks with my pups, spend time with friends and family, rest and relax it's no easy feat. But quite honestly, I would not want my life to look any different. I think it comes as no surprise to you all that since embarking on my journey back to academia, I have been taking steps to ensure that I can remain in that space. Beyond pursuing my research, my work with Accepted is so near and dear to my heart. By providing a space that makes academia more accessible to a wider community of people who are just looking for a place to be valued, lies at the heart and soul of my mission for Accepted. I was that person 3 years ago when, no, it was longer. It must have been about 4 or 5 years ago when I started exploring wanting to go back into academia and going back to studying. And I just felt like there was no place for me. There was no place for someone who had gone down a different path, who had been working for a significant amount of years, who already had an established career in something that was vastly different from what I wanted to eventually research and pursue. And I went onto YouTube, I had a look all over, and I really didn't find anything. I didn't find that there was the academic space to provide that. And so I thought I'd create it for myself. And that's what my channel has been about. That's what my social media has been about. And that's the kind of view that I want to bring into Accepted. Creating that space for people to feel like they belong and that they're valued, even when they maybe feel like there's no space for them. I've been working tirelessly to get the new Accepted to where it is, drafting up legal documents, ensuring a smooth transition to our new Circle platform, brainstorming ideas for new products and services that we can provide to our community. But working on your own business is so much more than all of that. There is a significant element of loneliness to running your own business. And I think most people who I've spoken to who do run their own business feel this way, that a lot of it rests on your shoulders and you put up this fantastic front of you're able to do everything, but actually it's an incredibly lonely process. You are the only one that is worried about the figures or the legality or the accountability that you provide to your customers, and for me, especially to the members of Accepted Society. I obviously have Kaylin as my business partner, but her focus in Accepted is very different from mine. And in the midst of having a cold and a fever last week, I was wrenched awake in the middle of the night worrying about legal contracts. And I feel this innate sense of responsibility in Accepted for when anything goes wrong or someone has an issue. I don't say all of this for sympathy. On the contrary, I actually say it because, as many of you know, I've always been really open and honest on this channel, very transparent about what's going on in my life and how it makes me feel. And I want to dispel the image that people on social media, people on YouTube, people on Instagram, people on TikTok, that have these very toxic productivity mechanisms are not, it's all fake. It's all fake at the end of the day. And I have a serious bone to pick with toxic productivity and productivity hacks. By showing you all this side of my life, I hope to show that there's no easy way or one way of doing multiple things. But I also want to show how spectacular it is when you find those passions and you pursue them and you follow them down the line, because even though there are obstacles, even though it feels overwhelming and stressful and exhausting, there is something truly fulfilling that you have when you have created something and it speaks to people. In the midst of COVID, I had this realization that had been itching under the surface for a really, really long time, that I did not want to spend my life in a corporate job. I'd studied politics and then law and had gone straight into the corporate world, where I learned that to be a woman in business meant being impersonal, self-promoting, disingenuous. It wasn't me. I read, I laughed, I challenged, and every time I got ahead, I got pushed back. Well, I know that my experience is very personal. I know there's some women out there in corporate jobs that are absolutely loving it and they're killing it. And I'm so proud of those women for making it in that environment. It wasn't for me. My personality type just did not suit that environment in the slightest. I wish it did. It would have made my life a lot less complicated than it is right now. But it just didn't work for me in the same way as I think that it works for so many others. But it wasn't until I found my job at Google that I actually felt I could be myself in a work environment. And even though I work in legal and compliance and I focus on upcoming regulations that will affect the company, and it's an incredibly stressful job, it's incredibly exciting and it's a great job. And it's a dream job in a lot of cases. But something still was missing. And starting up studying in literature and engaging with that passion of mine filled a void that I had no idea was there. Being able to expand my knowledge, my reading, my understanding, and my intellect has had such a profound impact on my life. And I often say to my friends and family that I wish I could spend all my time reading and learning more about literature, history, art, the classics. But a girl's got to eat. So learning to balance my full-time job and studying has been a massive learning curve. And hopefully, if you're still here listening to me ramble, I can impart some of that knowledge so that maybe as you're preparing for a new semester at university, you're thinking about going back to university, or you just want to have a view of how to balance competing interests. Hopefully, I'm able to provide some insights here. I think the first thing that I have learned in the process of taking all of this on is it's so important to enjoy the process. There's something profoundly gratifying about working towards your own goal, and we get so caught up in the stress of it all to actually enjoy the process. I love getting back into studying, organizing my study space, getting my books together, stationery shopping, which I haven't done since I was in school and was my favorite thing in the world to do when I was in school, and finding cute study spots where I could romanticize my studying. This is all good and well making a vibe to study, but when to study or when to make that time is really the key question. And I think for me, this is where accepted society has really been my key to success. Having a community of non-traditional students to lean on has meant that I now run my usual 5 a.m. club study sessions with a group of accepted members. And we work together towards a goal. And that provides a sense of camaraderie that I needed. I didn't know I was lacking, especially as a distance student and as a mature student. I've talked about working at 5 a.m. for my master's in many of my videos previously, so I won't harp on about that. But 5 a.m. was the time that I found worked best for me to focus on my master's work. It's before anyone from my job is awake, there's no one online, and I can really focus in when everything is just super quiet. I know that this time doesn't suit everyone, but I would recommend exploring different options and finding a time and space that works for you and carving it out of your schedule specifically for those few hours of focus. The next most important thing that I want to talk about is boundaries. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to set boundaries for yourself, for your mental health, and for your friends and family, and most importantly, for your rest. Resetting yourself, resetting your mind gives it that time and space to absorb more down the line. Take time to rest and enjoy the process. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed or burnt out before you rest. It is okay to make mistakes, to lose focus, to ask for an extension on a deadline, to cry, to doom scroll, to binge watch, or to take a full weekend or even a full week's break. Be kind to yourself, but knowing what your boundaries are will mean that you can pick up where you left off without falling behind. And one of the most important things that I found that's helped me is surrounding me with people that inspire me. It is true what they say that you're an accumulation of the 5 people you surround yourself with. I think there's something more profound to that. We are in an amazing age of being able to surround yourself with people online from different aspects, different backgrounds, different countries, different influences. And you can feel that inspiration online from books, from your life, and even from yourself. Curate your social media to a space that exudes that inspiration for you. Put up pictures, create a visual mood board, use Pinterest, play music, and in a true full circle moment, inspire yourself in that space that will help you to be productive and enjoy the process of it. One of the final things that I want to talk about is how important it is to curate your life in the way that you want it to look. Yes, I have a lot on my plate, but I do feel that in the last couple of months, maybe in the last year really, I have found myself curating a life that I love to live, and that has taken a huge amount of self-discovery and self-reflection to get to that stage. Acknowledging my love for reading was one thing, and working towards integrating that into a very important part of my life, which has just expanded into me loving history, loving art, loving the classics, which I've always had, but I hadn't curated that into a very distinct form. Spending time on the things that I feel are so important. We have created a beautiful home here in the Irish countryside where we spend our time outdoors with our dogs, and making our home the most beautiful that it can be is something that also means so much to me. And it's things like that, knowing my personal style, which has blossomed in the last couple of months as well, and maybe the last year, has felt like I'm stepping into a pair of shoes that fit perfectly. That's what my life is starting to feel like now, is that every single day I'm stepping into a pair of shoes that fits perfectly. And it's taken a lot of time for me to get there, and I have no doubt that there'll be changes in my view, changes in the way that I want to do things as I go down the line. But for the longest time when I started this journey, I felt like I was disconnecting myself from who I used to be. And I don't think that's the case now. I think that I've come to a beautiful middle ground where I've realized that I'm not disconnecting myself from the person that I was. I am finally being the person who I always thought that I'm finally being the person who I've always been. And rediscovering her has been such a phenomenal thing to me. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you all for coming along with me on this journey. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. It still will be a bit of a whirlwind. My content has focused on this return to academic life, and it will continue to do so, particularly as we go into me applying for PhDs and going into a master's dissertation in the next year. But I just want to say a massive thank you for this community and for being here. And if you're still listening, still watching this video, thank you for being here with me. I know this video has been more of a journal entry than anything else, and is very, very different from some of the other videos that I make, but it is something that I've wanted to do for a while. I love curating the space with you all and being able to talk about my academic journey and being able to talk about books, which is what I've primarily focused this channel on. But I also want to talk about and slowly get into talking more about balancing life. Doing life slowly, doing life more sustainably, and hopefully providing that source of inspiration for you that will curate your feed in such a particular way. We are so overwhelmed with toxic content on the internet, on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok. I feel like there are some content creators out there that really and truly make some beautiful and inspiring content. And if this video is that for you, that makes me so, so happy and so glad. I just really want to be able to show you that even though I could possibly be misconstrued as a productivity influencer, it's actually the furthest thing from my mind. Yes, I have a lot on my plate. Yes, I have to balance a huge amount of time, and I do some things like planning to make sure that I manage to navigate everything that I can. But that's not the purpose of what I'm trying to inspire. The purpose of what I'm trying to inspire is that life can be done in a beautiful, slow, balanced way. And I hope to leave that with you today during this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, I know this is different from anything that I've made in the past, but I hope that you will love it and appreciate it as I feel like I am finding myself restarting my life in my 30s.